Here we go. We have some time still.
Theory of mind is the ability
to understand that other people have their own thoughts, feelings, perspectives, and intentions, which may differ from one's own. It's essential for interpreting social cues, understanding motivations, and recognizing how others might perceive and respond to situations. This skill plays a central role in both giving and receiving reassurance because interpreting intent, when someone offers reassurance, theory of mind helps the individual recognize the intent behind the word's understanding that the person is genuinely trying to provide comfort or alleviate concerns. Recognizing emotional needs, theory of mind allows an individual to assess their emotional needs and see why reassurance might help, especially in navigating complex social emotions like anxiety or doubt. Contextualizing responses, knowing that others have different views and intentions, helps a person put words of reassurance in context, allowing them to trust that the person offering support sees their unique situation. Accepting vulnerability, receiving reassurance can involve accepting another person's empathy and trust, which theory of mind helps facilitate by recognizing that people offer comfort because they care. Without a fully developed theory of mind, it may be harder to recognize, trust, or accept reassurance, as the individual may not as readily interpret others' intentions as supportive. Autism. The structural and functional differences in brain wiring significantly impact how emotions are processed, often making fear responses more intense and prolonged. This intensity is tied to several interrelated factors: semantic pruning, right brain emotional processing, interhemispheric communication, and the heightened impact of stress on compensatory mechanisms. 1. Semantic pruning and emotional processing. Limited pruning of connections. In typical development, semantic pruning is a process where unnecessary neural connections are refined, particularly in early life, creating more efficient pathways for processing and responding to stimuli. In autism, pruning is often less robust, meaning more connections remain active. While this heightened connectivity can lead to rich sensory and perceptual experiences, it also creates many overlapping paths for emotional responses, particularly for emotions like fear, making them more intense and harder to regulate. Overwhelming stimuli, when a person has numerous neural pathways remaining open, it becomes challenging to filter out unnecessary information, leading to sensory and emotional overload. In a moment of fear, this heightened connectivity amplifies the experience, making it feel more vivid, intense, and enduring. 2. Right brain dominance in emotional processing. Right hemisphere and emotional intensity. In autism, there is often a dominance in right hemisphere processing for emotions, which typically handles more raw, unfiltered emotional responses. The right hemisphere has fewer inhibitory controls over emotions, meaning it's more prone to rapid, intense reactions that can feel difficult to regulate. Fear, in particular, is processed in a way that can become overwhelming, as the right brain's lack of filtering means the fear response is quick to activate and slow to subside. Thin interhemispheric boundary. Autistic brains often have a unique interhemispheric structure, with a thin line separating the left and right hemispheres, which typically work together to moderate emotional experiences. This thin boundary means that the right hemisphere's intense emotional reactions are less regulated by the logical, language-centered processing of the left hemisphere, leading to more unmoderated emotional experiences that can quickly spiral without the moderating effect of logical reasoning from the left brain. 3. Stress response and compensatory mechanisms. Resource reallocation under stress. Autistic brains, when under stress, tend to redirect cognitive resources toward managing the immediate stressor, leaving fewer resources available for other cognitive tasks or compensatory mechanisms. Typically, autistic individuals develop various compensatory strategies like relying on routines, systemizing environments, or visual aids to help manage daily life. But when stress levels rise, these strategies become harder to maintain because cognitive resources are pulled toward managing the overwhelming stress and sensory load instead. Impacts of emotional dysregulation on abilities. Because so much mental energy is reallocated toward managing intense, unregulated emotions under stress, there's a reduced capacity for managing other cognitive tasks. This can lead to reduced executive function, difficulty with memory recall, and even a diminished ability to interpret social cues or communicate clearly. In this state, even simple tasks can feel insurmountable, as the brain is overwhelmed by the combined load of intense emotions and depleted compensatory abilities. 4. The feedback loop of intense emotions and reduced abilities. Fear amplification and reduced coping. In autism, when fear intensifies, the usual mechanisms for calming oneself, like logic or routines, may fail because the brain is now overloaded with emotional processing demands. This creates a feedback loop. The fear intensifies because it can't be talked down by logic, which in turn heightens stress and further diminishes the brain's ability to compensate. This loop can quickly escalate, creating what feels like an unmanageable cascade of emotions, persistent emotional residue. Due to the prolonged intensity of these emotional experiences, fear and stress can linger much longer in autistic individuals than in neurotypicals. Even after a fearful experience has passed, the autistic brain may take longer to reset, as the residual stress and emotional activation can continue to impact functioning, further intensifying feelings of vulnerability and reinforcing the initial fear. In essence, the autistic brain's distinct neural structure makes fear more intense and harder to regulate due to both the high connectivity and reduced pruning, as well as the right hemisphere's dominance and thin boundaries separating hemispheric functions. When stress rises, these factors work together to not only make fear feel deeply overwhelming, but also to temporarily disable the brain's usual compensatory strategies. This creates a cycle where fear persists.
There we go.
Capacities are diminished, and each subsequent stressor compounds the difficulty of returning to a state of calm and function. Now, this is my fix for the previous information. 1.
Okay, remember, the beginning of the video, I told you that this is a huge problem for me. This is like my biggest problem, is that I get stuck. And I hated it. And once... I really like to research, so I guess that's my motivation. But yeah, and two, I made sure that I put things in my life that require demand, not just kids. The kids are, that's different. I like my chickens and my chameleons. They require daily care. So that means that Christina has to take care of these things every day. She does not get to just stop, and there's other people, things, something is depending on her to get up and get moving. So that's why, is because I just hate it, because you can't get nothing done, freaking. And then actually, I think what I hate the most about it is that I forget I forget everything. My memory just... It's already bad enough, but like literally I'll set something down, it's gone forever. And and I don't like it. And two, once I was able to, when I realized, okay, I know now like how I learn and what I'm good at, what I like. It took a long time to actually define what I liked. I didn't want to be over there anymore. I was over there like for 46 years. I was in my right brain 46 years, and I don't like it in there. It's a terrible place, and I think that sometimes we have to do things with ourselves, and we have to do experiments. And so I was doing experiments on myself because it's like, this is gotta stop because it's preventing me from working, and I gotta work, and then I was slowing me down, and I can't allow that. So we'll go back to my friend. I don't know what his name is though.
Gauging adrenaline and switching to fight
Gauging
mode.
adrenaline and switching to fight
Adrenaline
mode.
activation.
Adrenaline activation. When you intentionally trigger anger, you activate the body's fight or flight response, releasing adrenaline. This hormone surges through your body, increasing heart rate, energy levels and alertness, and heightening focus. Adrenaline also briefly overrides some emotional processing, pushing you toward immediate action and decision-making, which is why it can shift your focus away from a dysregulated or anxious state. Shifting hemispheric dominance. Anger can naturally prompt a left brain shift because it involves more analytical and linear thinking processes. The left brain is known for managing tasks related to order, problem-solving, and logic. So, when adrenaline is engaged alongside an intentionally chosen focus, it primes the brain for logical reasoning, helping reduce the grip of emotional dysregulation, which is largely processed in the right hemisphere. 2. Redirecting energy from emotion to cognition. Switching to problem-solving tasks. Once adrenaline is engaged and you feel the initial surge of anger, immediately diving into a favorite, thought-intensive task that requires problem-solving keeps the brain engaged in a focused way. Since the left hemisphere thrives on structured, analytical tasks, this shift provides a pathway to stability by giving the brain an alternative focus and a productive outlet for adrenaline-fueled energy. Creating a feedback loop for calm. As you engage with a structured task, it diverts cognitive resources from the intense emotion and sensory processing in the right hemisphere to logical and sequential processing in the left. This new feedback loop can help maintain a sense of calm, as the brain now invests energy in a stable, ordered task, stabilizing emotional fluctuations. 3. Temporary regulation of the autonomic nervous system. Short-term reprieve from overload during stress, the autonomic nervous system often becomes overstimulated, leading to dysregulation. Adrenaline briefly reconfigures your nervous system, focusing on an immediate task rather than on ruminating emotions. By the time adrenaline fades, you've redirected your attention to logical problem-solving, making the nervous system less likely to fall back into dysregulation as quickly. Moving toward parasympathetic activation. After adrenaline is engaged and you've shifted your attention to a thought-intensive task, your body may begin to transition into a parasympathetic state. Although the adrenaline effect is short-lived, focusing on a task requiring problem-solving activates the prefrontal cortex, which helps reduce amygdala activation. As the amygdala calms down, it signals to the body that the threat is over, gradually helping shift to a calmer, more logical state. 4. The role of engagement and flow in sustaining regulation. Adrenaline's role in flow state, tasks that you enjoy and that require intense focus can pull you into a flow state, a highly focused mental state where time seems to disappear and you're absorbed in the activity. Because adrenaline kicks off this state, transitioning to a flow-inducing task helps harness the remaining energy in a productive, emotionally neutral way, building a mental bridge to calm. As you sustain the focused task, the brain builds new associations between this emotional reset and logical problem solving. Each time you repeat this method, your brain strengthens the pathway, making it easier to move from dysregulation to logical focus
Maybe
the
it
next
is. Maybe
time. 5.
No.
Recovery and rebalancing after adrenaline drops. Natural
I'm gonna pause.
exhaustion
I
and
have to think about
reset.
that one because it's really hard to do because you really have to get used to being uncomfortable. So you have to allow your body to be uncomfortable. And so, in order to do these self experiments on where you're at, like what's your maximum that you can take. And anytime you do a research study, I kind of think if you're going to do an experiment, you might as well do it right, so just do it like a research study. You want to compare it. You don't want to just take just one incident, because one incidence of it working doesn't mean it works. It just means that it worked that time. So it has to work all the times for all the incidences in order for it to be something that you can say, yeah, this is a usable thing, right? So I had to really kind of push that uncomfortable over and over and over again to kind of say, okay, is that going to work? Is this going to work? And actually, I think this is the only thing that works. It's the only thing that I can get myself. Let's see, I'm back online because I anytime that I'm offline, is time wasted in my opinion. I wasted a long time being, not diagnosed. I don't want to waste another minute of my life, not taking full advantage of what I got going on here, which is my brain, which does some things sometimes. That's just how it is. So let's let him finish, and I'm going to finish this up.
After the adrenaline wears off,
your body and mind are likely to feel drained. This is a sign that the autonomic nervous system has cycled through the activation phase and is ready to rest. While this tiredness might feel physically taxing, it actually supports emotional stability by encouraging rest and recovery. The brain is then more capable of returning to its baseline state without the original emotional overwhelm. Strengthening resilience over time using this strategy reinforces resilience, teaching the brain and body how to pivot from emotional intensity toward calm focus. It conditions your system to handle future stress by providing a repeatable pathway out of emotional overload, which can improve emotional resilience. In essence, this approach leverages adrenaline as a natural reset, redirecting cognitive resources from emotional overload to logical focus, and helps sustain this shift long enough for the nervous system to begin self-regulating again. It's a tactical way of giving your brain the nudge it needs to access calm, logical thinking despite the intensity of stress. And while adrenaline is short-lived, the immediate shift into focused problem-solving tasks gives you an anchoring mechanism to ride out the initial intensity and find stability.
Definitely do that. And you know what? Sometimes you gotta make your own routine. So if that helps too, I don't care. Do the same thing every day. More routine is gonna help you with that too. But like I said, if you need that, gotta go to work. Because I know there's times, you got stuff you gotta do. You gotta have a solution that works now. And this is really what I think works. And again, it's about having passion about change, and you gotta brain yourself to go, hey, no, that upsets me enough that no, I'm not gonna let them get me down. I'm gonna show them I'm gonna show them attitude by actually showing them that you can do it. Show them by walking the talk or talking the walk. Is that how it goes? Like, do the action they say you can't do. They say you're not smart enough. Well, of course you're smart enough. It's a no-brainer. Be the best you can be. Nobody else's opinion but your own. And so learn skills for you. Like you for you. Because, we like hanging out by ourselves anyway. So why not just, impress yourself? Become employee of your own office. A month of the office. Like, it's you. Because, at the end of the day, it's you. You love your kids. You love them. They're the only ones that they can come to the office and they're good. Everybody else, they got rules and stuff. They're your kids. We're good with that. And like I said, it's You guys have a lot of value, and these things can be managed. We just got to figure out a way. And sometimes that means you got to experiment on yourself. That means you got to go, well, does this work? Well, no, that didn't work. And take notes and, learn about scientific research. And I'm not talking about, say, we're going to drugs. And this is about trying different methods of regulating doing normal human things like cleaning or something, or going to do dishes, or anything that is just a normal human condition. Those are the things that you just kind of got to distract and then go and and then really think of something passionate that you just. And then, you know what? Let's make some change happen. If we all work together and we all decide and we all are passionate about different things, why don't we just all just change the world? Because this is about time we change the world, I think. And I think we put all our brains together, we can make a brand new place that's functioning a lot better than it is currently, I would think. At least if we systemize it, make it work good. But that's it. My name's Christina. I hope and glad that you're here. And please subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. Like, channel, share. I hope you learned something. Try it out. See if it works. Tell me if it did work. Tell me it didn't work. Again, it's not road rage, neurotypical dumb anger. This is really about stuff you really care about. You want to do the right thing, and that type of anger rage is what is it seems to be the one that gets me going, and that's always the one because making change happen and helping people, always in the end I always feel better. If even if I am having a worse shit day, this will make me feel better more than any sort of retaliation does. That's boring. This is way more fun and it's so much easier, I think, just helping other people than just being just stuck on being crabby. You know what I'm saying? Or just sad and crying all the time. Because if just crying messes up your mascara, you know? And then you have your hair and then you just look like a hot mess like I look right now. So, anyway, that's it. I hope you guys have an awesome day and don't forget to like and subscribe.